Well, everyone, I wanted to say thank you. We did it. I have 100 subscribers and I'm so very excited. I want to thank you all for subscribing and finding value in the content that I've been creating. Thank you for clicking on. Thank you for your comments as well as all of your likes. It's very encouraging. And yeah, I am just so excited about the content that I'm going to be bringing to you in these up and coming weeks and up and coming months and years. Hopefully we will build a strong community together of teachers, of parents, of non-teachers and parents, just everyone coming together to share our experiences and to continue to learn and grow. Hence the name of my channel, The Learning Project, because we all are lifelong learners. Even though I'm a teacher, I'm still learning. I'm still going to professional developments. I'm still growing as a person and a human being along with these children. So we all are learning and we're growing. But I still wanted to say a special thank you for getting me and getting this channel to 100 subscribers. Now, I think last time I checked, it's around 120. So it's still going strong. So thanks so much. And now I'm gonna clean up all this paper, right? Well, we are nearing the end of the school year and this is a time for like celebration. It's a time for, you know, everyone to just really celebrate students and how far they've come from the beginning of the school year to the end of the school year to celebrate their growth and achievement. But there are some students who actually do not get promoted to the next grade level. Now, I actually had someone ask me, they were like, Shay, in kindergarten, how does a student not get promoted in kindergarten to the next grade level? Like, it seems like it's a no-brainer. It seems like you wouldn't have kids that will repeat. And I was like, absolutely not. You do have students that are retained in kindergarten for various reasons and they don't go to the next grade level. And so I just wanted to share a couple of those reasons with you, just in case you had those questions or just in case you didn't think or you just wanted to know why or how are kids in kindergarten retained. What are some of the reasons? I want to kind of go into that with you on today and just kind of share or shed some light on that question or on that fact. So now when we're talking about retention and retaining a child, especially in the kindergarten grade level, and really at any grade level, but specifically in kindergarten, the question needs to be asked, will this child benefit from being retained or being kept in this grade level another year? What are the gaps that this child is facing, whether it be academically, emotionally, or socially? What are the gaps that they're facing and will they actually benefit from repeating kindergarten and seeing those concepts and skills being repeated for another year? Now, our curriculum, I know in my school and in my district, and I'm sure it's true across other school districts as well, our curriculum is what we call it stacked. It's a vertical curriculum, meaning that there are certain skills and concepts that students are only going to see in kindergarten, and that's it. And if they don't master that skill in kindergarten, they won't be taught that skill in first grade or second grade or in the, in the next grade levels. And so one thing we look at is, okay, which skills are they having difficulty in? And those skills, are they going to see that again in the next school year? So one of the things that we look at in kindergarten is like phonics and phonological awareness. And those terms, I know if you're not in the school system, you're kind of like, okay, what's that? But really it's just your letters and sounds. Do you know your letters? Do you know your sounds? Are you able to identify the letters? Can you tell me the letters? Are you able to hear and understand and identify the sounds of those letters? Are you able to manipulate those letters and to create words? So we're really looking at phonics and phonological awareness. Now, obviously in kindergarten, we teach a lot more skills and concepts than phonics and phonological awareness, but those alphabet sound manipulation, they will not see again in first grade. So if I have students who are in my class and they're not able to master that, they're not able to identify all of their letters and all of their sounds, and they're not able to break the words down into sounds and to chunk them and to, delete and to delete the beginning and come up with the new words. If they're not able to do all of those skills that are related to that, then, that student it's a red flag right there. Now, typically, if we find that a student is having trouble in those areas, then intervention, meaning that I step in as a teacher and I'm working with that child either in small groups or one-on-one in order to build them in that area, whatever the area is. If it's not just phonics and phonological awareness, whatever the area, then I come in and I provide them scaffolding and extra support in order to strengthen them in those areas. So if I have a student who's a possible possible candidate for retention, that is really the main domains or the main areas that I'm looking at to determine, okay, this child is not going to see this again in first grade. Have they mastered it? If they haven't, are they a candidate? Are they a candidate to repeat this grade level so they can master this? Because as we know, this is a foundation for reading. If you don't know your letters and you don't know your sounds, then you're not going to be able to read. And the goal of reading is reading comprehension. So if you're still sitting there trying to sound out, or you're trying to, identify a word, and you can't just understand it or break it down, then you're not going to be able to pull out the meaning or the understanding of that word. Hence, that's going to be a gap, or that's going to be an area that's a barrier for you to be able to read. So will this child benefit based on the area that they are having the difficulty in? Will they benefit from having kindergarten another year? Now, I have had students who I've had in the past. I remember I had a student who was a voluntary retention, meaning that their grades and as well as their standardized test score, all their scores were strong enough in a sense for them to go to the next grade level. It wasn't such that they, their grades were bad or that the scores were so low. But I did, with my teacher observations, and I assessed that this student is struggling with their letters and their sounds. Then we saw that this student was actually the youngest student in my class. I knew that from the beginning. So this student was a little bit immature. They were a little bit, emotionally attached to home and to mom. They were, in a sense, kind of like a baby. And so in terms of their maturity level in comparison with the rest of their peers. And I did see that, this child is struggling. They are barely making it, barely able to keep up with the rest of the class in reading and, their reading or ELA, English Language Arts. And I was sharing with the parent, when they get to first grade, this skill is not going to be taught again. And so the parent and I, as well as other stakeholders like my principal, the counselor, we all took a look at the student, the total student, to assess to see, could the student benefit from having kindergarten again? And the mom actually said, yes. She said, my child is struggling now, and I don't want them to go to first grade and struggle further and have that gap be bigger and bigger and then fall behind, and then them repeat first grade because of a skill in kindergarten that they didn't master. And I thought that was really, just good forethought for her to say, let me go ahead and have her child stay in kindergarten another year just to strengthen them so they'll be ready academically for what they're going to be facing in first grade and further on down the line. So all stakeholders have to agree that this child can benefit from being retained. It's not just the teacher, it's not just the parent, but the counselor needs to sign off on it, at least in my school and my district, also the principal, our administrators. It needs to be all stakeholders taking a look at this child collectively and saying, yep, this child is a candidate for retention. And yes, this child could benefit from being in kindergarten, another year. Also, another reason why parents if their child if they feel like their child is struggling with their letters and sounds, and like I said, with the phonics and phonological awareness, some parents feel like this. They're saying, okay, right now their child is young, it's kindergarten, they won't feel like some kind of way. They won't feel so bad if they are retained in kindergarten because they're so young. And it'll be such that, if they're retained in the higher grade level, they may feel either bad about themselves. Usually in kindergarten, they're still 5, they're 6. They're still babies in that sense. And so retaining them, it really doesn't cause them a lot of social anxiety or cause them to get really upset. I have found that, students are just, they're smiling, they're still happy. Some of them may understand that, yes, this is what's going on, but it's not such a huge blow to them when it's kindergarten, opposed to it being in first grade, second grade, third grade. I've had students who have been retained in those later grades and, kind of with their head hanging low and yes, I was retained, so they feel like, okay, kindergarten would be a perfect year and a perfect time for them to be retained to strengthen them academically, socially, and behaviorally in order to be successful at school. Now, in my school, in my district, the kiddos, they can only be retained one time between kindergarten and third grade. So the parents are saying, okay, if that's the case, then let it be kindergarten if it's a kindergarten skill or a kindergarten concept that they haven't mastered. Then let's have them repeat kindergarten, strengthen them, get them from being a D, C, D student, right, to being an A, B student, strengthen them so when they go on, they will go on and still be a strong student academically. So those are some of the considerations that I know from parents that they've said as to why they've said, you know what, go ahead and retain them in kindergarten as well. Okay guys, so that's it for me. I just wanted to kind of shed some light on why kiddos will be retained in kindergarten. Like I said, I even have had teachers in other grade levels ask the same questions. I mean, they're in the teacher profession. They're like, okay, now what, why? You know, I guess I had those questions too before I entered into education. I have had, you know, family members who have been retained in kindergarten. I do remember saying, okay, now how is that even possible? Aren't they taking naps? Aren't they just playing? And the answer is no, they're not taking naps, at least not in my school. Now, there are some kindergarten classes, even in my district where they are taking naps, but they're not taking naps at my school. We are working hard. We are, they have tons of homework, and yeah. So that's it for me. I just wanted to shed light on this subject matter for you, and I want you to have a great one. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next one. This is Shay with the Learning Project.